So how do you argue with somebody who uses experts to support a position that isn't yours? Stick around to find out. What's up everybody, I'm Josh and welcome to Christian Sophistry, taking apologetics to the next level. And if you're new here and you want to engage in this conversation, go ahead and think about hitting that subscribe button down below and the bell notification so you don't miss anything. There are lots of things that I think Christians could do better on, but one of those things I think is being more familiar with the role that authority plays in an argument. In this video, I want to go over 3 examples about how people commonly fall into the argument from authority fallacy. So the argument from authority is a logical fallacy, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be using authority in your arguments. It means that you're not allowed to make arguments like, oh, this expert person is super smart, therefore this position is true. I know it sounds obvious, but it happens a lot. The reason that this is a logical fallacy is because positions aren't true by virtue of who believes them. Even if he is smarter than me, I'm still allowed to argue with Richard Dawkins, and I could prove him wrong. Is it likely? Probably not. But that doesn't mean you should dismiss my arguments just because he's a really smart guy. Sorry, did I say should? I meant can't. So when critics say things like, oh, if you really listened to Hitchens or Sam Harris or Dawkins, you wouldn't be a Christian. That is an argument from authority. It doesn't actually tell us about any of the content of the arguments that they make. So that's the first and worst way that people commit the argument from authority, but the second one isn't a whole lot better. It's still an argument from authority if you only cite the conclusion of an expert. For example, if you cite somebody like William Lane Craig, when he says something like, the existence of God is made plain and simple to all human beings, that is an argument from authority, not evidence. Maybe I could have used a better example, but I think you get my point. By citing conclusions, not only do you fail to teach anything relevant or helpful, but actually you don't bring anything new to engage with. Conclusions from experts are not evidences because it doesn't actually give us anything about the work and arguments that they made when they came to those conclusions. Now, the third way that people commit this fallacy is really just a delayed way of falling into it. Just because you're able to cite and construct an actual argument that an expert makes does not mean you are home free. I see a lot of people doing a great job of constructing the argument that the experts make. But then when somebody comes to respond to it, they just kind of brush it off and say something like, oh yeah, I'm sure you proved the guy with 2 PhDs wrong. No, I understand how it could be hard to believe that some random person that you know, even if they are educated, to be able to come up with valid criticisms against experts that we know. But you still have to engage with their arguments. You don't just get to inherit that expert's smartness just because you cite them. You still have to do the work of defending that person's position. Otherwise, you're just assuming that that person is right because they're smart. Okay, so I get that the content of this video is very practical in nature, but I want you to understand the philosophy behind the argument from authority. Because I think the reason that this is identified as a logical fallacy is really important. It communicates the idea that truth is not determined by how many smart people are on that side. There are brilliant people that are on the atheist side of the spectrum who I don't always agree with. There are also highly educated people who are Christians and know what they're talking about. My point is that we shouldn't just follow smart people because they're smart. We should develop a skill of argumentation and use that to use these people's work as a way to come to truth. I think that there's a lot more that we can learn from this fallacy than just how to argue better. There's an element of humility that we should learn to take on in recognizing that the smartest and most brilliant people are going to be wrong about some things. And that's all I have for you in this video. So if you thought this video was valuable, please like and share this video with your friends. Otherwise, I hope to see you next week. Thanks so much for watching, and thanks for arguing with me.